All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hey guys, we are going to talk a little bit about XRP today from kind of a different lens than most people are used to. This is our first podcast type video ever, so want to remind you
Yay.
guys, please give us some feedback in the comments, what you guys think. If you guys have any recommendations on what we should talk about in the future. Um, but XRP isn't just the charts, it's a huge shift in finance, and it also goes a lot deeper than just the financial system. I believe that XRP is spiritual, it's something that God wants His people to have in their hands. So that's where I'm going to ask my friend Chasun where she got into XRP, this whole new financial system, and what it means to her.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is a first podcast that I'll be collaborating with my friend Gunnar, and I'm really excited to introduce myself. I am Cheston, and then I'm a I don't know, just like same as you guys, like to learn, grow, and then just follow my heart with the passions that I have. And that's what really led me to understand the world of crypto, but also in the finance era. And then the reason why I got into XRP is for the sovereignty. That is the first word that really comes into my mind. And like, I know that it kind of sounds big, but I could explain you why it really comes to me personally, because I came from like Korean immigrant in Canada, and navigating like a financial system that was not really designed for our parents' era, that we had to kind of go through the struggles. And also me growing up as a second generation in Canada, is that like I didn't really have a mentor, I would say. So I had to like learn and grow through all the obstacles, and then by growing like small little children, I had a lack of like a financial education, which really led me to understand the financial paradigm, where the money came from. So I started digging in the history of money, the monetary policy, and how our future is going to stand strong with the new financial era. I believe that XRP is the only rail that is going to bring out to the world, because without any bridge between the old money to new money, nothing will be existed. So I didn't really understand the full background of XRP until like 2024, where I really had to sit down and study literally 5 to 6 hours a day, like what this is like. There was a full learning curve. I was really skeptical about different part of the crypto, and then also it came to the point where like I wasn't really seeing the whole picture, the bigger idea. And then that's where I kind of shift, like, where is this technology coming from? Mm-hmm. And that's when I found out, okay, well, we have the money. Why we are using the paper money in the modern world, right? Then if XRP is technology of railway to become the next era of currency, then what does it need to be? So that bridge, right? How people are not going to be shocked, right? And how the institutions are going to move forward slowly without any damage to the current society has been built for over a couple hundred years. So that's why I wrote the book, The Amero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. And I love that because I think sovereignty is what so many people want, and I believe that uh, a lot of people that have found XRP didn't really grow up in a like financially like stable like household maybe, or they didn't really have like the financial education that a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
had. And I believe, and we're going to talk about this a little bit in your book, and I love that you have the whole monetary policy side because you understand that. And I also talk about XRP and the spiritual side and how it's going to actually allow humanity to be sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
And something I always say is that XRP, if you own XRP, it's going to allow you to become sovereign, a sovereign individual, because you won't have to operate in the same financial system that they're building the CBDCs in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you own XRP, you own the underlying asset. And this is something that I always say, and that they're going to be building their own systems and CBDCs, digital IDs on top of XRP. But XRP, the asset itself, is uncontrollable, it's unconfiscatable. There will never be an XRP buyback, in my opinion. I think a lot of the things that you hear on social media is FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, because they want you to sell your asset, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
want humanity to own this asset because they know how valuable it is. But like I said, I believe that God wants this asset into the hands of His people to do good in the world with this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the reason why I feel so strongly about that is I feel like I have a purpose in this world. You have a purpose in this world. So many other people that were spiritually led to XRP. I've talked to so many people that were spiritually led to XRP because it's kind of like a frequency and vibration. So once you are on a certain consciousness level with XRP, you become magnetized to it in a way. And this is like
Exactly.
quantum physics. So,
Yes.
yeah, go
It's like
ahead.
quantum physics. There's no way that you can look thing into just one. It's like a love triangle, you know? It's like everything has to be all in one in order for you to actually fully understand the whole dynamic. Yes, it is a quantum physics. And as you know, like um, I was very grateful to understand I'm not an economist, like I'm not a scholar, but it's just like a spirit led. And I was just curious about things that I did not understand. So that's why I study economics
Hmm.
and just for the freedom for myself, for financial freedom, to take care of my children and myself and my family. And then while I was in Montreal, I was very grateful that God put me into different places that I shouldn't have been existed, where I was able to get along with the federal, provincial, and the municipal level of governments. And I was able to open my eyes through the economic forums and then different entrepreneur, the leadership events. So that's what has really got me into inspiration and to write the book. So actually, the book that I wrote, The Amero, it was written like right after 2025 World Economic Forum that held in Montreal. And that's when I kind of saw the shift where the leaders, I mean, everyone have us, purpose to serve in the humanity, but something wasn't right in that dynamic. And no one wanted to talk about the truth, but they just wanted to give out the clues of what will happen, the
Hmm.
prophecy of it falling. Instead of cheering up, like, guys, get ready, this is gonna be happening. Like, no leaders talk about that, right? And so I'm questioning myself, who are the true leaders of this like whole economy in the North America? Because all the leaders, CEOs, and the entrepreneurs, they go to literally economic forums, and all they talk about is just surface level, never deep. They tell you to grow, and then like you can change the world, but at the end of the day, like, you're not there to solve a problem. Like, they're not there to like talk about the deep issues of what's happening. So that's why I wrote the book, and then it's just a visionary book, which I really find is gonna happen in the future. There are so many great economists in Canada, especially, that they have already proposed like thousands of ideas, and then that will save the financial crisis in 2026. And that's I want to talk with the XRP community, because without understanding the history of money under monetary policy, the XRP community is not going to go anywhere. They're going to be toxic. Like, to tell you the truth, like, if you don't want to learn, like, you should like get away from the XRP community. Like, you're not serving your purpose. Your purpose is to learn and then grow in your financial literacy, but not the old literacy they talked about in the past 30 years. There's going to be a new financial education that I really want to share with everyone. Yeah.
It's super interesting. Like you said, a lot of people that are in XRP, like, they didn't go to school. I mean, you went to school for economics, it sounds like.
No, you
No,
know
you
what?
didn't?
I graduated. No, okay. I studied fine arts. Okay, so this is like a really fascinating story about mine. I was never interested in economics. In university, I failed economic 101. I was never interested. I studied fine arts, and then I shifted into graphic communication management, where I studied more of a graphic arts and the technology IT side of it. So I in Bachelor of Technology, but I studied economics because after I became an entrepreneur, like in a little startup that I did in Montreal, that really got me wondering about like the importance of learning a business and how to make money. And yeah, so I'm not an economist,
Okay.
like economic, yeah.
Well, the point I wanted to make about that was a lot of people that are in XRP, like, never went to school for economics. They never really understood the old financial system. But it was the little cracks in the system and the corruption that we started to begin to see, which led us to dig into what crypto was. And my story, for example, like, the first thing that really like got me to wake up was in 2020, the C word. But what happened during that time, where the United States printed like, what was it, like 30% of all dollars in history? Something like that, some crazy number of the dollars in all of our history was printed in that year. And I was like, what's going to happen with all of this? And I started looking into crypto, and it led me into Bitcoin originally. I'm not a huge fan of Bitcoin, and we will kind of dig into that here in a second.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Bitcoin, especially after what came out with the files. Got to be careful with what we say on here. But I bought Bitcoin, sold it within a week, and put a large portion of that into XRP, and then bought another large portion of XRP, and haven't sold anything since. But that was what got me into XRP originally. Didn't know anything about crypto. I was just like kind of drawn to XRP. But then I started like studying more about what cryptocurrency was and how it was going to completely change the financial system. And I don't know, it's crazy. Uh, we've got a lot of people that never really had a traditional economic education that just did their own research and figured it out for themselves, and it led them to XRP, and that's where we're at today. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so for myself too, like I'm self-taught, like I had to dig into all the research papers, like YouTube channel, and then really like, I spent, I don't know, like hundreds of hours, like listening to different podcasts and just trying to figure out like what this technology was about. And then, yes, like the people in the XRP community, yes, we are all self-taught. I mean, it's a God-led. Like, there's no way that we can explain about it. Like something that's like a fire that's in our heart, right? Um, Not everyone gets it. It just, yeah. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but it's not about us like getting rich. It's about how we are going to protect our future, our children. That's why the God put people in their heart, like for those he believes, right? That so that we can better serve the humanity in the next like 50 years, 100 years, and more. And I think that's where XRP community is coming from. And like I don't know a lot, but if we can share like a different knowledge that we have, we can be more stronger, and we can be more wise. And then we want the financial freedom. We've seen in the centuries that all the what you call it, the pyramid, the top of the pyramid that they've been doing to our people. It's not right, and we're gonna fix that. And then it's already in God's hand. It's happening, but without the proper monetary policy implemented, XRP is not gonna go anywhere. $1,000, $10,000. Well, what the XRP community has to understand really is that in order for like a prayer doesn't count because prayer matters, but you need to pray right? Which means if we look at it logically, the policy has to be taken in place, but before that, the law has to come in, right? That's why a lot of XRP community understand the U.S. The law, like the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, those are really important. But I'm very so happy to see the community learning those laws because that's going to be very important. Only I believe less than 1% of the world actually understands it. People in the Congress or people in politics in Canada, they have zero clues. I doubt 90% of the politician understands it in Canada because they're so blinded by all the politics and the power dynamics. They don't care. It's their purpose to really break down the economic
Right.
to downfall, but they can serve their own purpose, right?
Right. So that's a great part for me to kind of transition into the next topic because a lot of XRP holders are just in it for the price appreciation.
Exactly.
They're saying, when is XRP going to go to 4 digits, 5 digits, 6 digits? Which I personally believe that it will happen. This is not hopium or anything. Just from me studying how XRP's price is calculated and what XRP is going to be moving in the future, whether it be currencies, commodities, everything that's going to be tokenized on XRP, I believe that the price will ultimately reflect that. But a lot of XRP holders I see a lot of people giving up on the project just because the price is not appreciating. And in my opinion, I believe that the from Bitcoin's inception, it was the first cryptocurrency until now. I believe now is the inflection point of the cryptocurrency market. This market before right now has been all based on hype. It's all been based on speculation. This is what the cryptocurrency bull runs have been. They have been hype cycles, they have been speculation. Speculation is the hope that something is going to go up. Utility is not hope. Utility is actual utility, like it's being used. And
Yes.
I believe that like the past altcoin seasons have been speculation because people think that these projects are going to do something in the future. Meme coins, all of this stuff. I believe that a lot of this is going away, and we're transitioning into
Yeah.
utility starting this year with XRP.
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you for your explanation. For those people who's listening to this podcast for the first time, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more what the utility means, right? What is Bitcoin? What's XRP? All that. Just to explain really quick is that I came from kind of branding and marketing background. So just think about Bitcoin as a marketing tool. So it's just out there so that people understand the crypto world, where people with the power and money, they don't want you to know what the utility technology is, right? Which is XRP, because XRP is the technology is like a railway where, for example, I'm in the Asia country, and then you are in North America, and I have a company, right, to ship, export, $100 million of worth to America. Then what do? We bring that money to the bank, right? The bank holds for what? For I don't know, up to 1 to 2 weeks using Swift system. That's been a very, very old system. Then the bank takes like transactional money, and then also another third party takes like money, and then it goes to consumer or the business to business, right? But what we're going to do with the XRP is like a utility, means like a rail. So we are going to remove the old Swift system, meaning you don't no longer have to wait like 1 week to 2 weeks, and the extra like 10% of your money go to the other business. We are going to just reduce that to 3 to 5 seconds. That's what real technology is. And then Bitcoin was just serving so that would bring out
And I'm sure Nostro counts out some other XP analysts like Flavor, like Eno. I forgot what his name is, like Farina or something, but he's a smart guy. But the issue with the Nostro Vostro accounts is, and this is kind of like a symbolism and spiritual aspect that I originally saw like a year ago through a dream that God gave me. But the Nostro Vostro accounts, they hold trillions of these currencies on the balance sheets, basically. And just in case there's going to be a transaction that goes through. So, for example, what Jake Claver has been talking about for a long time is the Japan reverse carry trade. So Japan has trillions of yen sitting here. United States has trillions of US dollars sitting here, just waiting to be used. But in the event of a liquidity crisis, this creates huge bottlenecks, especially if there are interest rate decisions that happen and Japan isn't flowing the US dollars back into the US economy anymore. That creates huge bottlenecks in the system. So, what's going to happen is that these large banks and institutions are no longer going to be holding the actual currencies, the like paper currencies, on their balance sheets. Instead, it's going to be them holding XRP on either side that is immediately available to use. It settles within seconds, like you said, costs less than 3 cents. Like it's like 1 cent to do a transaction. So they're going to hold, so they're going to hold these on their balance sheets, but also everything's going to be connected to XRP. So outside of their balance sheets, they will have the different currencies, they will have the different commodities, all of these different digital assets that they can immediately transact into. So what that looks like is, for example, if something happens with the interest rate decision with Japan here in like 2 weeks, I believe, they would immediately be able to buy oil from another country using XRP, transact it onto their balance sheet, and settle it within seconds. There would be no more bottlenecks. And
Yeah, I mean, yes.
the reason why this is important to me is because in my vision, I saw that XRP was going to undam the financial system. And by undam, when I think of being damned spiritually, that's when energy is blocked. So when we know that money is energy, we don't want the energy of money to be blocked. We want it to be able to flow smoothly, like constantly. We don't want that energy to stop. And that's what money loves. It loves fluidity. So when we have these nuestro voster accounts keeping the money from flowing and it's just sitting there, not only in their world is that causing opportunity costs. It's very costly for them to hold that because they could be using that money for other things. But this is undamming the financial system because traditionally, like the Federal Reserve acts as a federal reservoir, I say, and a reservoir is like a dam. It's damming the flow of money because they can print as much as they want. They can do quantitative tightening whenever they want to control the currency. So what XRP is going to do is these banks, countries, institutions are going to have no option but to use XRP because
Yes.
the financial system is either going to collapse due to what's about to happen with this liquidity crisis, or they're going to use XRP to prevent a collapse. And what that's going to do is bring the currency back to like a center area, which is XRP as a whole, because everything is going to be connected to XRP. So in a way, it literally is undamming the financial system, literally and spiritually.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yes. So, well, my 2 cents is that XRP will save the economic crisis, but because I see XRP as a digital gold. Like people say Bitcoin is, but no. Like if you look into all the codes that they wrote, they put so many. For example, why Bitcoin will never work is that like it takes so much time to move point A to point B. And in order for people to use it, access like really quickly, like MasterCard, Visa, transaction in a second, right? But Bitcoin will never solve that problem because they purposely put so many garbage code in it, right? That's the whole purpose of, yeah. Well, that's my research that I've done, so that's where I'm coming from, and explaining you why Bitcoin will never work, because you put so many garbage like trash into the codes, like of course it's going to be slow, it's not going to be useful. And then if you look at all the developer who developed Bitcoin, like the founder, like if you really open your eyes closely, like the founders and everything, like it's like all set up, right? They set up the whole storytelling, right? And then I believe that unless the XRP is the digital gold and backed up by a dollar, I mean, we're gonna be doomed, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where it might come from, right? The Amero is the current currency that America, like North America, like continent, like Canada, US, and Mexico, serve as a one full currency, as a one, like a European Union, like how Europe did, because like right now the European Union has like a full like Avengers, like there's like so many countries that's like in power, and then we have a BRICS, and then we have like China, they have a digital UN. And honestly, why is Canada and US like fighting for all the taxes thrift and all that? Oh my, they should stop it, seriously. And what they need to do is like bring like hundreds of economists from like Canada, US, and like get together, like they should have a boot camp, like how the tech company do to do a hackathon. We should have an economic hackathon in the US and Canada, and like stay there. Like the president and the prime minister, they shouldn't have time to like go out and do a handshake and then do all the thing with other country. Like their priority is economy, right? But yeah, that's where this book come from. So unless you guys get together, US, Canada, Mexico, like this is your last chance, and if you don't get together, you're gonna fall behind to Europe, Asia, whatnot, and this is the final call. Yeah, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's like a real deal that we need to really discuss, because everyone has an ally. Like North America, do we have an ally, like a real ally? No, we need to get together. Yeah,
right. I'm interested to hear more about why Canada, the United States, and Mexico will form their own currency, because I've done like other research on XRP, but I haven't done research on how they're going to form their own alliance. But it makes sense, and this is something that I want to talk about real quick, because a lot of people think that XRP will never be adopted globally because it's from a United States company. But Ripple doesn't actually own XRP. They just issue XRP. They teach people how to use XRP. They don't issue it like a stock. And that's kind of the difference between what Amazon is. They issue their stock. Ripple doesn't issue XRP like a stock. And also another thing that I want to say is that, like I said before, XRP is uncontrollable, unconfiscatable, and it's meant to be a what's the word I'm looking for, where like nobody can control it. Like no one country can control this asset or have like a certain leverage on this asset. It has to
Mm-hmm.
be like, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, basically every country will use XRP to XRPL to build their own systems on top of it. But
Mm-hmm.
no one country or group of countries will be able to control the asset. So, for example, and I can see where you're coming from now, where Canada, the United States, and Mexico would create their own currency.
Yeah.
But it's not really like it's not really like the BRICS countries are going to be using their own currency, because I believe that in the future they're going to build their own BRICS currency on top of the XRP ledger as well.
Yeah.
So in reality, uh, like XRP is not competing with like anything. All of these different currencies are going to be built on top of it. That's what I see.
Yes, that's right. But at the same time, let's say if I am a country, right? If I'm a US, right? USA, and okay, the dollar, we call it dollar, has been serving the humanity to hold this power. But right now, the economy, they don't want dollar. Dollar is breaking. There are so many different reasons, right? Then how are we gonna make people, like the whole humanity, use dollar, right? Because they don't trust dollar anymore. What we do is that, well, I don't think I can, I don't have enough power to hold this dollar anymore. Then I need allies. But, and also we need to adopt XRP, gold back, so that we can show to the other country, the world, that now we have a strong dollar again, which means in my book, I talk about like some example, like how Canada, US, and Mexico can kind of integrate into one ally. Is that I see that Mexico has like a really, really strong like a labor force, and the US has a good, really strong like manufacturer, you know, holds, and Canada has like a natural resources. So like instead of fighting and then splitting, we already have a kind of like a losing border anyway, but it has to come with a very, very careful action. But this is just my vision, right? That if we have all those resources that we have within three countries, and then if we really refine it well, we can be a very strong economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
But also yeah. But you know, like right now, like US dollar is higher than Canadian, and then the Canadian dollar is higher than peso. That has to be adjusted through a very careful precision that economists, you know, like all the math and everything that they have to hold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
So
then I believe, yeah.
so it's super interesting. Um, One thing I'll say is it's going to be really hard to transition Mexico into a
It
digital
will.
asset, because I live here in Mexico, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I've lived in South America as well. I have seen firsthand that not a lot of people use this thing to pay for anything. They don't
Mm-hmm.
use cards to pay for anything. A lot of people are unbanked still, and you pay with cash pretty much everywhere here in Mexico. Um, the thing that is might push Mexico uh, further digitally is that the president says that everybody is going to have to sign on their phone to their name, kind of like a KYC, which uh, I mean, I think that I think that cashless or a cash society is better, but when this new reality comes out, there's going to be two sides to the equation. There's going to be like the complete control side that they're building with the CBDCs and digital IDs and everything. And then there's going to be those that hold XRP that are completely free and sovereign and have the ability and also the duty to try and free humanity from the CBDC system. And I believe that all it's going to take is switching the energy from coming towards the CBDCs and transitioning the energy, the flow of money towards our system that we are going to be building.
Yeah.
But it stinks because like I don't know, I just see firsthand how great like a cash society is, because I'll be the first one to say it, like I've even like worked a job here in Mexico and received cash under the table, and like I don't have a citizenship or anything here. Like you can work and still earn cash in Mexico if you want to.
Yeah.
But another thing I want to talk about is how XRP is going to be gold backed.
Yep. It will.
And we have seen for the past like 50 years how oil is priced in the US dollar, gold and silver was priced in the US dollar. I think that's going to transition into everything being priced in the XRP. Or if you have any insight, I want to hear it from you too. But the past 50 years, gold, silver, oil have been priced in the US dollar, but on paper. And the reason that they did this, the central banks did this, is because they wanted the dollar to be. Whoa! They wanted the dollar to be seen as super strong, but they manipulated the price of gold and silver on paper to be
Appreciate it.
to not be like its actual price. And the reason they did this is because traditionally gold and silver have been seen as hedges against inflation. So this is why they suppressed the price of gold and silver on paper, to not raise a panic or any red flags, because if gold and silver were their actual price and were not suppressed, people would flee from the US dollar. The US dollar would lose its dominance, and people would buy gold and silver instead. So that's why I see gold and silver and oil being repriced over the past 6 months to their actual prices, what they should be. And on top of that, gold, silver, oil, all of these assets or commodities are going to act as a basket of goods for these central banks and countries to transact these assets. But also gold, silver, copper, all of these metals are going to be repriced even higher to their actual use case value as well, because silver, copper are very conductive metals. They're going to be used for AI. They're going to be used for all of these new technologies. So
with the electric cars and everything, in order to build the system. Yeah. And then on top of what you just explained to me is that, everything is a quantum, right? Everything that has been suppressed over the years, and then the flow of money, energy that's been really, really bottomed out, what's going to happen is going to burst out very, very fast. It was really pushed back for 50 years is going to pull out in 3 to 5 years. That's just my gut feeling.
The lower and the longer the base,
Oh, yeah,
the higher in space.
exactly.
That's
Yes.
that's the flip of the switch that everybody keeps hearing, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's not really them flipping the switch necessarily, even though
Mhm.
them signing off on the Clarity Act and all of this stuff is probably what's
Yeah.
going to send these assets to their actual level, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be because they have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have no
Because,
choice.
yeah,
They've been
because,
speaking for many years.
right,
Yeah.
because the Federal Reserve, the reservoir, like I was saying earlier, it's cracking. And every single time the crack gets bigger, XRP and all of these other assets become utilized even more. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where you'll see XRP in the future go to this level, then to this level.
Yeah.
It's however
Yeah.
much it's being utilized.
But then, you know what? We are in the very, very pivotal moment in the history because we have a new leader in the Federal Reserve, which I would like to, share it a little bit. Is we are on a good hand. It's going to come. Like the good changes are coming. There's a lot of a power dynamic that needs to be still washed away, but yeah, with all the energies that's going around the world with astrology, I don't see fear in it. As much as the media want us to have fear, you don't have to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to tap on to your questions and answers on the Mexico using a lot of cash flow. So I believe that the Mexico will come out like later in time. I think it will be more about Canada and US to kind of merge into the Amero, like a one currency before we bring Mexico in. But in order for us to get the Mexico into like the Amero, like a European Union, right, the Euro country, that in this like step by steps, what we need to do is education, like a financial literacy is going to be very, very important in the South America and the Mexico, Spanish spoken areas. Maybe that's why you're there, Gunnar. I don't know. Maybe the universe brought you there to
Hey.
give people the financial literacy, right? And then XRP will be explained through the digital literacy tool, right? Because like as a mother speaking, right, that it's so important for children to read, read a book and then learn about the survival and things because
That's what to talk about, and I feel like this is the time to but I feel like we as souls have a purpose to help humanity. There's a lot of like spiritually evolved souls that have a purpose to do so many different things, and only you know what that purpose is. But ultimately, I feel like my purpose aligns with XRP. It aligns with uh, like global humanitarian type things, because I've always been drawn to like traveling and also Latin America. And like, I don't know what my ultimate like finished goal will look like because I just follow my path and what God speaks to me with. And who knows, it could be like helping the like Latin American countries um, because like unfortunately, uh, in the United States and Canada and Europe, we have a stronger currency. So naturally, we are able to invest more into XRP, for example. Um, and like it's really sad, but like in Mexico, not a lot of people would be able to invest into this asset, for example.
No, because they don't know, they don't understand the concept. No one is teaching them. And
That
then
and
government,
also the
it's the government. Yeah, the Mexico government. This is gonna be another podcast episode where we talk about what Mexico government is doing to their people. Yeah. And then, well, like I come from the Korean Canadian background, right? And then, so I understand the whole dynamics of K-pop, right?
Mhm.
And guess what K-pop did to Mexico a couple weeks ago? Yeah, the BTS went to Mexico. And why are they doing that? Yeah, we need to really think
Mhm.
why that shit was taking place.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like these countries, in a way, they were like kind of better off because they were less subject to all of this like Western society type stuff. Um, like for example, you have like relationships in United States and Canada, and like uh, it's super toxic because everybody has been like conditioned and also brainwashed to have this Western mentality as far as relationships. But
Yes.
like in Latin America, for example, uh, everything is still like super traditional how it was
Yes.
supposed to be. So
Mm-hmm.
like in a way these countries were like better off, and I think that's why the Western culture and also uh, like uh, like entertainment is coming into these countries because
Yeah.
entertainment is one of the best ways to condition and move people. So you've got a good point there.
E- Exactly, because the media, sports, these are the biggest energy siphoning condition, to keep make people not believe the truth, right? Because like they gotta really like put a lot of dopamine into people's minds so that they don't see the truth and what's coming.
What
Yeah,
what do we have coming up in the world next
coming up,
week?
bro. It's a frequency fight. Let's go. The World War III already happened. I mean, like everyone's so scared. I'm like, come on, don't be scared. We have a hope. Come on, we have a gunner. Like we have all the child of God that's like serving a different mission throughout the world. They're in their spot right now, and we don't see the full picture, but it's coming. And then whole like dynamic of the music is gonna change. I think. I don't know. This is like what my spirit is telling me is that we're going to change the whole shift paradigm of the music industry through how I don't know. I think God will do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like we just follow, but all the old music is gonna come up, but also the new music will come out, and we're going to build a community through the music.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to really fight back the frequency and bring that the 5D earth
Mm-hmm.
up. Yeah,
Everything's frequency and energy. I believe
exactly.
that God or the universe has already placed each of the souls that are meant to be like uh, waymakers and change makers where they
Yep.
need to be, or they are en route to where they need to be placed on this earth, because we are meant to anchor in what this new Earth is going to look like, this new financial system is going to look like, and you can't change without having each specific soul with their specific purpose in place.
Yes.
But we have the World Cup coming up next week.
Okay, let's talk about World Cup. Okay. What's your thoughts on World Cup? I mean, like some people are like, really excited about, World Cup happens like every 4 years. So like, okay. And some people are like boycotting World Cup because of a lot of, the political issue. And yeah, what's your thought on it, Garner?
Well, over the past, I would say like 2-3 years, I've had like a change in my mentality. I loved sports growing up. I played sports growing up. In college, I was a cheerleader for an SEC school, Arkansas, University of Arkansas. And like it was my job to hype people up for football games, for baseball games, basketball games. So this was like very ingrained into my blood from a very young age as well, because growing up like right next to the University of Arkansas, like you are a fan because we don't have any other pro teams. So I I love sports growing up, but over the past 2-3 years, honestly, like even like 6 years, I've seen that sports are not only scripted, but also like rigged. If you watch like NFL football, if you watch the last World Cup, you would know that it's all scripted. Like I even placed a bet on Argentina to win the World Cup last time around after they lost their first game. So like if you know that it's scripted, you can see all of this. But it's going to be like super interesting because I've never like witnessed a World Cup like firsthand in my lifetime. The last time the World Cup was in the United States was like Atlanta, I believe, back in 1992 or 96. And this time around, like it's going to be in Canada, United States, and Mexico. And like I'm seeing it through my spiritual lens, but I'm also seeing it through like the 3D lens, because I'm going to be in the largest city in North America, which is Mexico City. Mexico's already super passionate about football, soccer. So there's going to be a lot of energy in that city. And it's just really weird because I believe that my path, like, just led me to go to Mexico City for this event. It's crazy. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay. Me, like I used to like enjoy watching soccer, but I wasn't really a big fan of watching sports just growing up. I don't know, it was just me. If my friends watched like the basketball and baseball, then I'll watch it. But it was like it wasn't really my thing. Maybe I just grew up as a girl and I had other interests. But everything is scripted, as you said. Yes, that's right. It's like a play, like a Shakespeare play.
The bread and circus.
If you understand the whole spirit, if you put the spiritual lens in it, I mean, you see everything, right? And the reason why they have like a ABCD, like a different countries, right, listed. Going to be on the World Cup pre-qualification. That's all staged too. Yeah, and there's a whole code behind it with the Olympics, right? Olympics, opening ceremony and then the final everything, is coded. If you don't script it, you cannot make that happen. That's just the law of the universe, right? So that's why the people with the shaded power right now, they're just putting into it. And then last year, when the Trump administrator has announced, well,
Right.
and I mean, like, not sure. Can you like use their executive needed this and yes,
Right.
and this is my speculation. The World Cup look at economics psychology. Their why is their comment below this send a link. If you look at another like article, like I more like because you see, but all has canceled like what's the recovery. But come on, like why does this exist? Like here's a question that you need to ask. Right? This three dimensions to work. You question why certain articles exist, and you really need to define yourself on the time and the date stamp on that article. It's a code, everyone. We live in a code world.
Right. I just tried to pull up on my screen the Economist magazine and how it's broken up by the 12 months.
Yeah.
But we here. What you know was the soccer playing out of the month of July. Is that correct?
June, yeah. I think it's in June. Yeah.
Because the World Cup starts on June 10th and it goes.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Isn't it June? But if you look at it, it is pushing the ball into different directions. It's sort of going from June, first week, second week, and then the first week of July. I don't know what the first week of July that entails. But if you know, guys, you can comment below.
Well, we talk about what we're gonna talk about as far as like astrology, and why like July, August is kind of important. But
Very important.
yeah, so
Everyone wake up. July's the day. It's a number that you need to decode. I have decoded it, but can tell you guys need to decode it. So there's
it'd be interesting. But like you were saying, everything is a code, and what they have to do is show people first, like through movies, through illustrations, through TV shows like The Simpsons.
yeah. Where the lyrics, music, whatever. First, you need to announce it first before
Exactly.
things to happen.
Exactly.
So
And-
the God be doing over.
Good point.
Yeah, I started to find out the game tactic. More clear.
We're already seeing the shift. Like a lot of people
Yes.
are waking up, a lot of people are creating their own art. But the reason that they have to show us what's going to happen beforehand is so that when these bad things have planned that are either going to like enslave humanity even more or possibly like hurt people, like one of the most like iconic events back in 2001 that happened in New York. Things like that, they have to announce it beforehand so they don't receive the bad karma back to them, because it's all about the different laws of the universe. And it wants more as energy. And if they technically tell us what's going to happen, they believe, and also energetically, they aren't going to receive the bad karma that would end up coming back to them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just back to just like wrap up with like the World Cup issue is that, come on, you think it's coincidental that we are seeing this whole World Cup in North America? No, there's a purpose. It's already written in the stars that this happens in 2026. So they announced that America, Canada, Mexico has a World Cup. Well, they look at it as unity, but what? Distorting our eyes, not seeing the truth. Instead, guys, you guys need to really like get back onto being three countries together as a whole in economy. That's what my book talks about. And yeah, if you don't want to fall behind on what's going to happen in the U.S. dollar dominance and all the monetary policy, yeah, I really recommend reading it. It's going to save your, I don't know, financial for the next generation.
Absolutely. And I've read through the Amaro book a little bit as well, and it's very well written. I suggest you read that want to really understand what's happening with an overall picture, why it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, everything. It's a very good book.
XRP is easier word to explain. It's just very, very what's the history of mercy from, and then what's from you, and who's this theory, the Amero, like a economist, her rebel, very bright, has served on the politician, economic, and the prophet. He's failed. Now it's not being failed. It's still does we did not because we didn't have potential railway and law place. Now his proposal worked. We came to the era where we're seeing the clarity and election AI is kind of implemented, and this is not before people one-sided has been released. Coming media statement and as chaos around I'm trying to get in good. Sure.
That's amazing. So, do you have any insight on what potentially could happen with Mexico, Canada, United States leading up to this World Cup, and why it is being hosted in the year that it's being hosted?
I can't. I'm not as so I can't really. But I have to go into the planet vision that's in place right now with all the lunar calendar, like study in depth. But there's like very strong with the American continent right now, and I believe we're just having very, I don't know, like, and it's for these. But there, so wouldn't be bad, but it's quite a gold industry.
That's where I want to go with the question.
Because people are get together their content so there's a very behind, right? I don't see the bet is going to have the coins winning them.
It's going to be a month of change, in my opinion. I think we're going to have a change in monetary policy. I think it's going with Genius or the Clarity Act, like you've talked about. And Brad Garden House here a couple of weeks ago, that clarity. And once that's when all of these assets are going to be able to be completely used and utilized. And we all know that right now is the inflection point in this cryptocurrency market. So we are moving away from speculative assets like Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin is a completely speculative asset when speculative assets do well when there's a risk on market. And this traditionally aligns with money being printed. When money is not being printed and when there's a lowering of interest rates, that's when people sell their risky assets like Bitcoin. So I believe that when all of these assets like XRP, XLM, and the other ISO 22 coins, when these actually get approval with the Clarity Act and can be utilized, that's when you're going to see the money flow away from the speculative assets into the utility assets. And that's why XRP hasn't had its price move since 2017, because it hasn't been used.
But then I also want to raise a question for the XRP community is that, it's like a market for stocks and crypto and everything, right? That's just the law, right? It's like a wave comes and goes. Right? But with all the acts that's going to be coming in place, you also have to watch out the risk, right? When it's going to fall down and why it's going to fall down, what's going to fall down. Once I believe ISO 2022 is going to end, right? All the garbage scams, right? The coins project are going to be wiped, right? What's going to happen? So, the question when the 95% of the ads that's not are going to be, that's already hyped up to be used, right? That's going to happen to market, right? Right? But to main users, right? So, in order to understand it, you need to understand where the money is coming from and then where law and what interest. So you gotta really begin at the
right. So do you want to save the astrology for us, or do you want this whole video and podcast from the time that I started talking about the World Cup?
Oh, we can next thing that you
want to touch on or on it week?
What
it is it aligns with Bitcoin's running market and why the market has acted the way it does and it has to do with the solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. And when we are in a lunar eclipse cycle, which is back-to-back lunar eclipses, that's when we typically have our bear market. When we have solar eclipses back-to-back-to-back, that's when we have our bull markets. And right now, we're moving into a new solar cycle. So we will have the first solar eclipse in our solar cycle on August 16th, I believe. 12th, 16th, something like that. And Bitcoin always moves up into that first solar eclipse, and then we have a pullback after that. But where it gets really interesting is with the whole inflection point of this crypto market as a whole. So assets like Bitcoin are speculative. We're transitioning into utility. How that's going to affect the whole market on top of the solar eclipse cycle is really interesting. But we have several different examples where from a lunar eclipse into the first solar eclipse of the solar cycle, Bitcoin has always moved up into it. So I think astrology doesn't lie. Astrology is energy, and
It is an energy.
yes,
Ancient wisdom.
ancient
Ancient wisdom, yes, that like keeping power was trying to hide it for years, and now we have so many teachers who is teaching in the online platform. Then more souls are awakening to the truth. And I believe with the solar eclipse and calendar you see in North America, if you kind of dig into the coordinates that we're all seeing, there'll be a huge energy within that too. So. I mean, I think we talked about so many different things for community podcast, for RP, very positive, not a regular podcast. This is Soul Street podcast.
And Chasen is on the same exact path as me and a lot of other people, where it's really about leveling up and your surprises. And it's really just your vibration and frequency. And what I do is all connect with the financial system, duality, like what God is trying to do. All so you can't on have to be slid and centered in all these different, or else you will falter in other pillars.
Yeah, because I was in this because I felt like I was a big girl, and then with like a multiple realized that it came to the point of where I am right now, and I'm not perfect. Like there's so many things that like I do not know. It's like I'm just going with what I feel that's in the that feels right to me. I don't care what other people think, because the truth, like, oh no, like it's pretty a lonely path that we are through. But one of you guys, you're the only one. Like, yeah, we're here, and then you learn things with the community, and then we select each other.
It's amazing, and definitely feels like super, especially when we started up and nobody else with what we were trying to say, like the truth. On the path, you have purpose in life. You get into action, different is different that are in your life, and that's your new like spiritual family play. You may lose a lot of things from your past. It could be a job, members, like money that you earn from the fee, for example. Like, it's a completely different, with a completely different energy tied to it.
You're just walking the faith, living your life with unto the unknown. It's very beautiful, right? I mean, like sometimes I guess too, but overall, you learn with all your heart and every come, and the just opportunity to die. Yeah, I mean, I do.
Awesome. So, amazing podcast. This was the first podcast that we've done. Please leave us your thoughts, any recommendations, and the questions that you might want us to do in the future. We may do a couple of lives in the future, but make sure to check out the Amero book. It's an awesome book, well written, hits so many different details about what the new financial system looks like, the future of finance, and how XRP is actually going to be that bridge. So check out the book. We're going to go on some next time and several different things. But I'll let you wrap it up as well, Chasen.
All right. Thank you, Gunnar, so much for hosting this podcast. I love how we just naturally talk about that. And honestly, if you feel like going into your mission, please join Gunnar's community. You're going to be really lifted as a person spiritually. As he's here to hold this and walk this with you while you are stepping into the mirror. So always be positivity. Your feedback, because everything's right. And, share love, be kind of like one another, and I love you all. Thank you so much. Till next time.
We'll see you guys.
Bye.